We're doing an ad.
Yes, it's very exciting. We're not trying to sell you anything, however.
No, we're talking about TELUS Story Hive, and we're going to talk about an opportunity for emerging filmmakers, specifically documentary edition of the TELUS Story Hive.
Give me your best pitch.
You know I have a documentary pitch.
I do know
I
that.
want to do, I have 17 living in my head. My first one, though, I'd like to do it on all-female barbershop competition. So it's not barbershop quartets necessarily. It's like massive barbershop competitions with like huge teams of women up to 100 people.
Didn't even know such a thing existed.
It truly does. In fact, it's great. Lisa, do you have a documentary in your dreams?
Absolutely. It's a true crime story, but I hope I'm not in it. I'm happy to make it, though.
I only want you to be the subject of a true crime documentary. Pure investigation.
Yes, exactly.
From April 9th to May 7th, Story Hive is accepting applications for their second documentary edition.
They're looking for documentary pitches that center the unique stories of your own community. So gather a team and apply now for a chance at a $50,000 production grant. You also get mentorship, career training. All you have to do is go to storyhive.com.
At $50,000, you can read all about the eligibility requirements on storyhive.com/index.rules. The applications do close at 12 p.m. PST on May 7th.
And if you are considering applying, just know there are some rules. We'll just give you a couple of them. All applying teams must have at least one female key creative. They're looking for stories that give an insight into the history, the culture, the communities, and the people that originate from where the project lead resides.
We love stories. We love talking about movies. What a nice opportunity. We love documentary.
Oh, gosh, yes.
Like, what an amazing opportunity for an emerging filmmaker from TELUS Story Hive.
Exactly. So all you have to do is go to storyhive.com, look up the rules, and get your applications in.
By May 7th.
There you go.
12 p.m., May 7th.
I love how you finish my sentences.
I know, it's so romantic.
You're listening to Pop This, the podcast where two women talk about everything pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen and Andrea Warner.
It's allergy season, maybe a little bit early, and I have to say that it's just one of those things that I've never been affected by, and I feel really bad about that because I know you're suffering.
I am suffering. My voice is a tiny bit funny today.
And you should feel bad about it.
Yeah, you should. Yeah, 100%. You should feel absolutely terrible, and I would like $5 from you for my suffering. No, I mean, I'm just jealous of you, really.
Well, sometimes I feel like there was an episode of Seinfeld where he was always just like breaking even.
Yeah.
And
do you think that maybe your mom or dad just successfully rolled you in the right dirt pile when you were a child?
Because there's a good chance of that.
No, like
I was quite a tomboy, so I probably licked every tree, frog, gross, weird thing that I could. Yeah.
I feel like because I didn't know that I had allergies until a little bit later in life. I likely had them as a kid, but I was undiagnosed. Just seasonally always had a seasonal bronchitis.
Do you have any allergies to food? Any?
Not that I'm aware of. I've never actually been tested formally. Formally, because at this point they're just like, you know what? You seem allergic to like seasons, so spring and fall not great for you.
Fall even.
Yeah,
what
fall
happens
is
in fall?
Fall is a different kind of plant
it's
that
the
happens.
spores. They told me it was the spores.
Spores, whatever. Yeah, I am allergic a little bit to dust. Definitely cigarette smoke, in like really hard concentrated sort of areas. But spring this year, I've had 2 different seasonal allergy moments where I don't know if we had like, did we have like an early kind of mini thaw in like early February?
It felt like it happened in Vancouver really quickly because I went on vacation and when I left, there was still some stubborn snow on my lawn.
Yeah.
Because the sun wouldn't just hit it enough to melt.
Yeah.
And then by the time I came back, it was like, spring is here.
And spring is just like hit
people
me in
are
the
in
lungs.
shorts.
Yeah.
We're out on the patios.
Yeah. Yeah. People did get patio real fast. Like even I I sat outside. I found a patch of sun, and I sat in it about 4 weeks ago on a patio, well before I should have. And people would walk by, and they were like, "That looks nice." And then suddenly the patio was full, and they had not planned for that in the hostessing sort of segment that day. But Vancouver, sun's out, patio's out.
Yeah.
Like it just doesn't matter if it's also like -3.
No, it doesn't matter. We want to sit out in the patio.
They're all heated, so
that's true.
Exactly.
That's true. It's totally true. Yeah. No, I know.
Suddenly you're all like, I would like a wheat ale. That's what I'd like. Well, I don't know why, but that's what I want right now. And if you've got anything of a combination of a mojito, now is the time.
Gotta have a mojito and a wheat ale. I also really get into mimosas but I can't drink when I'm like kind of in
you're taking
sick
so many meds
mode or
and things
allergy
too?
mode. I just don't feel like it.
Oh.
Nothing tastes great.
Yeah.
And so I really hate, and I hate particularly, but I have been so smart. So, sometimes I'll get so sick that I'm like out of commission.
Yes, I do
have
know
no
this.
voice
Yeah.
for a week, maybe. I've finally come to fully anticipate and accept when I am getting that kind of sick. So twice in the last 5 days, including last night, I have slept in my armchair. Because if I sleep sitting up, I'm not, this is so gross, but my postnasal drip is not so bad settling in my lungs.
Wow.
So if I'm sleeping sitting up, I'm not triggering a cough every 30 seconds, and I can actually sleep. So twice in the last 5 days, I've had to sleep in my armchair sitting up.
I think this is what Shakespeare meant when he said, "Know thyself." It was a seasonal allergy.
100%, yeah.
It got misconstrued to be a bit more philosophical, but it really wasn't.
Honestly, that's actually the nicest form of self-care I can do for myself right now, is to force myself to sleep sitting up in a chair, in my armchair. And I have slept in this armchair, again, seasonally, at least, 3 or 4 times per cold allergy.
Wow.
But this is the way that I think, maybe check in with me next week, but I think this is how I'm going to prevent it from turning into bronchitis or strep throat.
Good for you.
So I'm pretty excited.
Good.
I feel real good about it, guys.
And I'm sure your armchair is really chuffed, like I'm here for you. Here.
This armchair I inherited from a wonderful friend who came to live with Carlos and I a number of years ago. She was only going to stay a month. She stayed 10. And it worked out really well. We all agreed to it. It wasn't like she was putting us out. We all were like, hey, this is actually going really well. Do you want to just keep staying in our room? That's fine. Like our spare room. And it was, she had just gotten through a bad breakup of 13 years, and it was a whole thing. And we had a great time. And she left us this chair as her, parting gift. Also because it was really hard to get in the apartment. And it worked out really well because not only, because this is, if you ever want a measure of how I definitely grew up poor because I will suffer through things that are not good for me. I have owned a couch for the last 6 years that I am highly allergic to and cannot sit in or on because it's full of feather pillows. And it turns out I'm allergic to feather pillows. And we have not gotten rid of it because I'm just
But you've been couch shopping. I know you've said occasionally.
But I just can't bring myself. And so I sit in the armchair. So this armchair that she left me has probably actually really saved my life on a lot of levels. So thanks, Trish. And just a testament to how stubborn and poor I was as a child. I was just like, well, we paid good money for this couch, and we're gonna have it in our house, no matter what.
I feel that.
We can't have it anymore.
Some people might call that false economy, but I understand what you mean.
It's just like my brain can't fully wrap my head around. I was like, well, I've got this chair as an alternative. I don't need to get a new couch.
We might ask people to give us their couch stories because you see, I have a bad couch. And I even bought it used on Craigslist. It didn't look too bad at the time. But it's cream colored. You've seen it.
Yeah.
But my dogs, 2 dogs and a cat, destroy things all the time. I don't want to love anything in my home at all because then I won't love them more.
Yeah.
And I want to love them more than I love a couch.
Yeah.
So it's bad. They've barfed on it. They've crapped on it. They've scratched it up. They've done everything. I can clean it.
Yeah.
But I know it's starting to look kind of some parts are looking older. The last cat I had just completely destroyed an arm, which I strategically try to put a throw on every once in a while and think, I've fooled everyone. No.
Sure, yeah.
I have fooled no one. It's still comfortable, but I won't get rid of it just for that reason, because then I'll have to look for another couch.
Yeah.
And then I'll have to just be that person that waits for them to ruin it somehow. So way.
Definitely, you might as well have a crappy couch. In fact, do you want to just solve this problem ultimately? Once I finally get a new couch, should I give you my old couch?
There we go. See, there, yes. And then I will not feel anything toward your couch. You will not feel anything.
No.
And the dogs will look at it as a challenge.
Oh, and it's never touched animals.
My 2 dogs, that's the only place they go.
Yeah.
Is that couch.
Yeah.
They sit on the back of it so they can see the whole house. It's their favorite place.
Yeah, no.
I think despite me, because I bought them a dog bed. Nope.
Oh, for sure, yeah. No, they don't care about that.
No, they do not.
I'm Andrea Warner.
I'm Lisa Christiansen.
And this is Pop This.
Yay!
Yay! We have a very special guest today.
We do.
We're very excited to welcome Sara Gill.
Hey.
Thank you so much. It's been a long time coming, really.
It really has.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I appreciate it.
You are also an allergy sufferer. You weighed in on our opening a little bit.
Yeah, if I could actually see you, I would be glaring at you for not suffering. Like, my eyes right now are just in shambles.
A million miles of just sadness.
Good thing the movie we're talking about is already behind you now.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Normally we introduce you a bit later, but I just said your name, so I'm going to do this. Sara is a grad school escapee who still studies pop culture and gender theory for fun. When not working as a professional beer wrangler, they co-host Warriors, Bards, and Brews, a Xena podcast, with their wife and homicidal house cat, and spend time yelling about queer things on the internet.
It's a great bio.
It's such a great bio. Honestly, I want to change so many elements of mine now that I've read this.
Yes, I do too.
Yeah, mine's so dull.
I might just grab this one. I don't know if that's... I mean,
you're like, I don't have a lot of overlap, but I still am good at
There's enough there, yeah.
Can I tell you my quick Xena story? Because it's one of my favorites.
Please,
yeah.
So, years ago, with my much-missed grandparents were still with us, I was just kind of hanging out at their place. They had a nice house to hang out and have coffee and food in. And we would just sit and watch TV together. And so my grandfather had the remote, and he was flicking through the channels, and Xena was on, and he stopped, and there was a really terrific fight scene. And, well, you know what these fight scenes look like. You know what the ladies are dressed. We know exactly what this is. So we're watching, and then all of a sudden my grandma, who has a very thick Danish accent, she's like, Helmer. You can't hear anything. Helmer. Staring straight ahead. Helmer, turn the channel. Nothing. He is just gone.
Fixated.
He is in that scene. And I was sitting on the couch thinking, how much more uncomfortable can this get? Like, how far are we going to go? How many times has this happened before?
Oh, man. And I thought my wife was bad when we watched it. And I'm just like, oh, you need to talk. You have to say words.
Yeah, so eventually my grandmother actually just got up out of her chair and took the remote, which was extremely odd and crazy.
Yeah.
And it was almost as if he was in a hypnotic state. He was, whoa, what? So I don't know how they dealt with it in the future, but that is my Xena story.
Suddenly at 4 o'clock on Saturday, Global was just blocked at that house. Yeah. No Xena for you.
Yeah, exactly.
Amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I feel that Grandpa would have really enjoyed what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, but it would be
different
uncomfortable
way.
for all of us.
Different
though,
way,
if we had
but
to have this conversation.
I would love to have. I'm just gonna say, I love to talk to other people's grandpas about like their sort of like like their sort of sexual awakenings through like heavily coded queer fantasy. Yeah. I think that's a great...
It would have been fascinating to hear if he even thought any of this. I think he had a very I don't know if he had gone that far.
Probably not. No.
No. But I want to describe my present day level of
yes, exactly.
So exciting. So we're going to talk about Captain Marvel.
Yay!
So happy to have you here to talk about
Thank
Captain
you.
Marvel.
I need an outlet for my enthusiasm. Let's be real.
Because really, when I was thinking about a guest for this episode, I saw that Sarah was tweeting rapturously, and I was like, well, this makes sense. This all checks out. We should probably have Sarah on the podcast.
Yeah.
Finally. Because honestly, it's been a long time coming.
Yeah, and we have somewhere where you can just take all of this now.
Yeah.
Give her out there.
So happy.
Yeah.
There probably will be spoilers. So if you haven't seen Captain Marvel, apologies. We did already spoil the cat thing for you.
Should you know that? Because I'm not a fan of the comic. Should if you did, you'd know that, right?
I don't remember a Flurkin in the comics, but most of my knowledge comes from X-Men and the crossover with Rogue when she was Miss Marvel, not Captain Marvel.
Okay.
Hi, Carlos explained the entire history of Captain Marvel to me after we watched it, and that's long and complicated, somewhat horrifying.
Very horrifying.
There's anyway, but yeah, it's a ridiculous, so we can just let this movie be a standalone piece, I think, right?
Yeah.
It's not so faithful to anything.
No, well, Captain Marvel initially was a man. So when they did the switch, I think it was 2012, they brought in Captain Marvel as a woman. So I was like, oh, Brie Larson, that's a great choice. I'm in. I already have tickets bought. It's 5 years away. I don't care. Let's do it.
Has it been that long?
No, it's been in production for, I think I first heard about it in 2016, something like that. It's been a while.
Yeah.
And I've been following it relentlessly online. I started crying when I saw the trailer during the Oscars. Chloe was just like, babe, you gotta just chill out. It's just a trailer. And I was like, no, it's so good.
I was worried. When I saw the trailer, I was worried. I was like, this looks like it's gonna be dumb, and it's gonna be more dumb than other stuff, and other Marvel things. I thought they're gonna blow this, and then I saw it, and I was so delighted. I think they just, for me, the trailer didn't work because I think that they were trying to cut a regular Marvel trailer, and they didn't do it justice. I think the movie is so good. I have seen it twice.
I have also seen it twice.
Once here, sorry.
That's okay. How did
3D.
you feel about it?
Oh, let's go through my experience, because at first I was very excited.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to be honest, I thought it had a kind of weak beginning of a second act.
Okay.
Her and Samuel Jackson bopping around that factory or the lab or whatever was boring.
Oh.
To me, their conversations were boring. Their chemistry was non-existent. And I was like, oh no, this is bad. I'm bored. And then it really, really, really picked up for me. And suddenly I was right into the whole story when she had her moment of understanding that the only thing that was keeping her back from her power was not recognizing that she was a woman.
Yeah.
That's what was her power. I was in the theater crying. Behind my little 3D glasses, I had to dab, which is already annoying because we wear glasses with the 3D glasses. And so it was not working very well.
Yeah, no.
Plus, I had butter in my hand from the popcorn.
Of course.
It was a whole
When you
scene.
get a butter eye, it's so hard.
Butter
that's going
eye
to sting for a little while.
Gotta
Yeah.
be one of the worst. You can't flush it out with a Coke.
Yeah.
That'll make
and
it
I
worse.
didn't want to leave, right? That my thoughts were that once I felt like there was just it was kind of a slow bit. Also, I didn't really get why we needed all that nostalgia. I'm kind of done with that now.
Oh, you hate nostalgia though in general.
You know I do.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't.
So I love the nostalgia of it. I love that it's set
It's
in
not
the
like
90s.
I hate these songs. Of course, I mean, I love those
soundtrack
songs.
was a teenage dream.
Oh,
of
yeah,
mine.
no. I was just like, if 13-year-old me knew that 36-year-old me was going to see this in a theater, that kid would have been way happier. That kid would have been like, I have things to look forward to.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
This is good.
But from what I understand, there's a purpose to having it set in 1995.
I don't know the purpose.
The purpose is so the next movie we have is that she's been gone for several years.
I see.
It wasn't just about so we can show Blockbuster and play some No Doubt.
Gotcha.
And
Because I'm fine with that as a lame excuse.
Have you guys seen the Avengers movies?
Yes.
Yes.
Oh, so the Tesseract is in the Avengers thing, and that's stuff. Yeah, so there's...
And then the very ending with the little thing, because he sent the message before he floated off, and I got all that tied up. So that's good. But I don't know, I'm finding like in the nostalgia stuff, like I want to get excited in Star Trek when he hit the and it was Beastie Boys and Sabotage because I love Sabotage, but it's so I just feel like I feel like my thoughts on nostalgia.
You hate it.
I do.
You really
I
hate
find it cheap.
Yeah.
And I find it like just an easy money grab on people and just grabs at your hearts. And I don't know. And I just want new music.
You feel manipulated.
I feel manipulated.
Yeah.
I don't think the soundtrack would have worked, though, if they hadn't gone specific 90s. And minus the whole song at the end, everything was right in that time period.
The whole song's not from
That's from 1999. I had that album.
Okay.
Celebrity Skin, 1999.
Yeah. It still sounded really cool at
Still
the
sounded
end.
wicked.
And it was, I didn't know it was specific to that year. Did they go that closely?
Pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
Everything that was...
Because I knew I just was like 90s. This is all 90s.
No Doubt came out in 95. Garbage came out in 95 too.
That Infinite Sadness poster that was up everywhere. When
Melancholy and Infinite Sadness was 94, right?
94.
I don't know.
PJ Harvey.
Still been up. PJ Harvey.
couldn't
Rid of Me
remember.
was 93. So it was everything they had. I was just like, I was beside myself. I'm a 90s kid, so I was just
Yeah,
having
but then the
a fit.
anachronism of a Fonzie lunchbox. What was that? Because of Annette Bening's own nostalgia?
I thought that the Fonzie lunchbox that's just sort of a universal piece of like kitsch. That they still had lunchboxes at the time, and people were so.
Is that when they ended up going in there? Was that long ago? They ended up going back in there in the 70s?
Well, they had been in there a long
Since
time.
the 70s?
Well,
I don't know. Time's all relative in these movies. I recognize that. But
late 70s, early 80s, plus like the alien dichotomy. I mean, who knows when they get modern television? Maybe it's a 5-year alien delay.
Because the aliens
Maybe they liked the Weezer video.
It's the Weezer video could have
They
been
were
a
dressed
thing.
in grunge up there. Didn't you notice when
Yeah.
they came out? It was all plaid shirts and ripped jeans.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Someone had been sending them clothes.
Somebody had been sending the
Yeah,
reject
well,
wardrobe
and I
of
guess
Seattle.
probably the teacher or the professor who
Yeah.
had been going back and forth. Yeah, so I mean, I feel like then that could have been a nod to Annette
That's
Bening.
what I was wondering.
Yeah.
Her own nostalgia.
Yeah.
It's nice like when there's some details that we haven't even done a synopsis.
We haven't even
my
done
God.
a synopsis.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
No. I asked you, and that's my fault. But I want to come back to your interpretation of the lack of chemistry between Captain Marvel
maybe you two
and
feel differently.
I
That's okay.
feel a bit differently.
Okay,
So
all right.
anyway, so just a little background. Captain Marvel's 2019 American superhero film based on the Marvel Comics character Carol Danvers. Produced by Marvel Studios and distributed by Walt Disney. It's the 21st film in the Marvel 21st. Sorry, I couldn't.
See, I'm
sorry,
pretty sure
I
I've seen
screamed.
all of those, which is a
I'm
weird
sorry I
thing.
screamed, but
Yeah.
I have not seen several of them, but I've seen a lot of them. Written and directed by Anna Bowden and Ryan Fleck, with Genevieve Robertson Dwarrette also contributing to the screenplay. I was so delighted. I'm just pausing for a second, but I was so delighted at the end of the movie because I was thinking to myself while I was watching the film, I was like, this movie was definitely, at the very least, co-directed by a woman, and it had to have, like, the story had to be, like, by women. Women had to be
I
involved
hope
in this
so.
movie.
Yeah, I did.
And then I got
Yeah.
to the end, and
Yeah.
I saw the credits, and I was like, oh, my God.
Yeah. Anna
Oh, my
Bowden.
God. Oh, my
Yeah.
God. So
I
good.
brought you guys an article if you want to read it later.
Oh, nice.
It's
Thank
about the
you.
woman who edited the movie.
Oh, a woman edited it too.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my God!
Okay.
Carol and Maria's friendship in Captain Marvel's the heart of the movie because of editor Debbie Berman. What a night! I can't wait to read this article. Thank you.
No worries.
Yeah. Sorry. Anyways.
Stars many people.
Yeah, it stars a lot of people. Brie Larson, Samuel L. Jackson, Ben Mendelsohn, Digimon Hunsu. He did not get enough to do. Lee Pace, Lashana Lynch, Gemma Chan, Annette Bening, Clark Gregg, and Jude Law. Set in 1995, the story follows Danvers as she becomes Captain Marvel after Earth is caught in the center of a galactic conflict between two alien worlds. It has made a ton of money.
Yeah.
So much money. So much. Specifically.
Which usually we're not so
We
keen
normally
on
don't care
capitalism
about-
unless
no.
it's, of course, supporting a movie that we really love.
Yeah.
Then we're in.
If it's about feminism, I'm into it.
Yeah, there we go.
Yeah.
So, yeah. that's
Film
where-
has grossed
yeah.
over 990 million worldwide as of the writing of this outline.
Wow.
It's the 11th highest grossing superhero film of all time. I feel it's going to become number one. Maybe next to Black Panther. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's gonna. I might actually.
Do you think so, hey?
I think it's gonna surpass Black Panther at some
But
point.
but then in April 26th comes out the Avengers, right?
Yeah,
The last one in the
Endgame or whatever.
Endgame?
Endgame.
I
Yeah.
never remember the names. The names of these movies are like Bond movies. I have no quantum of solace. That's not a thing. That's just like 3 words put together. I don't know what they mean.
At least Endgame tells us kind of, but at the same time, it also implies a level of mastery that Thanos is not operating. Like
I want to see Squirrel Girl because I think she's the only one who can actually take on Thanos.
Squirrel Girl.
Girl.
So what would that be called? Edge of Tomorrow's Nightmare
Yeah.
or something like these titles?
No, I hope it's called Rabid. Squirrel.
Rabid. No, you need more. Rabid Day of the Lost.
You can edit this out if it's too
something.
much, but I want it to be called Squirrel Girl. Hold on to your nuts.
Oh, nice.
That'd be great.
Yes.
Lisa, do you want to read the synopsis?
Sure. Captain Marvel is an extraterrestrial Kree warrior, that's a tongue twister, who finds herself caught in the middle of an intergalactic battle between her people and the Skrulls. Living on Earth in 1995, she keeps having recurring memories of another life as U.S. Air Force pilot Carol Danvers. With help from Nick Fury, Captain Marvel tries to uncover the secrets of her past while harnessing her special superpowers to end the war with the evil, quotation marks, Skrulls. You said spoilers. So I didn't just want to say evil Skrulls, because that wouldn't sound like we didn't watch this movie.
Of course, yes.
Yes.
No, yeah. So, we've talked about how we feel initially about the film. In general, though, how are you fans of the Marvel movies?
Some of them, yes.
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I always find I'm not going to be, and then I watch it and I go, well, that was good. that always happens to me. It'll be like, I don't care about Thor. No, I mean, I do care about Thor. He's my people.
Yeah.
Also Chris Hemsworth. But no, it's I enjoyed both of those films very much, and I didn't expect to. I always do that. I actually liked Captain America. I don't know if there have been 2 of those. I liked the first
Yes.
one.
There's been
3?
Captain America,
Winter Soldier, yeah.
and then there's another one, I think.
There's at least 2, if not 3, Captain Americas.
I really like that last Thor, because I can Taika Waititi.
Yeah.
I thought that was hilarious. I loved everything in that.
Made you like Kate Blanchett before Ocean's 8 even happened.
I just thought it was a lot of fun, and I do think superhero movies are much better with fun.
Yeah.
I think the taking too seriously, and that's why I'm not a big fan of Iron Man ones as
I
much.
think with a lot of superhero movies, I mean, look, I was an X-Men fan as a kid, so I was surprised the queer kid latched on to the the superheroes as other. Go figure. So it's heavy, and there's a lot of messages and a lot of sadness encoded within it. So you need to have something kind of fun and goofy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, these are big stories.
Yeah,
There's
a lot.
These are people who get angry and turn into green monsters and lose all their pants. I mean, there's a lot
and
going
the
on.
X-Men did something that kind of paralleled the AIDS crisis in the 80s. As a kid, I didn't quite get it, but looking back, I was like, oh yeah, that was real sad. And that was real heavy.
And we were both extremely moved by Spider-Verse.
I haven't seen that one yet.
Oh my God, it's so good.
I know,
It's
I know.
so good.
Oh, I've seen it twice now. That one I've
I'm
seen
having
twice.
a gay panic attack over Captain Marvel still. I will see the Spider-Verse movie once I settle down.
Okay, fair.
Well, once you've settled down, yeah.
Yes,
I
yeah.
mean, that is the one movie I would be like, I should go see that in 3D.
Yeah,
I hate
I
3D.
did.
I don't like to see
Yeah, I
3D
know.
because
I have a
I
hard time,
have to
too.
wear it over my glasses,
Yeah.
and it's just But that I was like, oh, I
found
saw
a new
that.
way to put the glasses. You go up and under.
Up and under. Yeah, no, I do an up and
Yeah,
under, but
okay.
it's still not enough.
Yeah, it's still hard.
It's just not enough.
Mm-hmm.
So I also feel, that for the most part, I enjoy superhero films. I don't read comics, so that's not really my entry point into it. But I've always sort of, for the most part, enjoyed a superhero film. Some I have sat out sort of somewhat deliberately because I thought, no, that's not going to get my money or my time. The one where Sherlock is a guy.
Doctor Strange.
Where Sherlock is a guy. Thank you for
Amazing,
understanding
actually,
my
could just
shorthand.
get that.
I really appreciate that.
That was a bit slow. I tried.
Yeah,
I tried to. I couldn't.
Yeah, no, I just didn't.
There's like a lot of them that sort of do give me the shrugs. But I was really, and I think maybe one of the reasons that I love this movie, Captain Marvel, so much, outside of the reasons that we've already kind of illuminated, is that there is a real sense of casual joy to it. Like, it's fun and it's funny. And she's pretty funny.
Yeah.
Like, she's much funnier than, not that we have to compare, but like, I feel like Guardians of the Galaxy tries so hard to make us think like Chris Pratt is funny.
Yeah.
And,
Which they succeeded in the first one. I laughed a lot.
The first one,
but
for
not
sure.
so much
Yeah.
the second.
But I mean, I just like, it was just sold so hard. And this one, she gets to be just so casually confident and cavalier and like, kind of like, off the cuff. Like, I really delighted in that. And I like the chemistry between her and Samuel L. Jackson.
I didn't find they had any.
I thought they did. I thought it was great.
I did not feel any. It felt so forced.
Maybe you were distracted by the de-aging process for him and Clark Gregg.
I was impressed by that. It's
impressive.
Fight scene,
I was really
and
impressed.
I thought, this is so, like, this was my thought watching it. This is very unfair. They got to start giving women the same opportunity to pretend that they're, and I mean, I'm being kind here, 50 when you're 70.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Yeah.
But you've got the fighting skills of a 30-year-old.
Yeah.
I mean, that scene was, I just like, did he contractually ask for this? Or are we, I mean, which is why we keep getting new Bonds, right? Because at a certain point, we can't keep going like, I mean, Tom Cruise, buddy, Mission Impossible 9, 10, I don't know where you are, but.
Oh, I think we're going to get him until he's 90.
I think that's the only thing that he's going to be cast in at this point, given how weird he can be.
Yeah.
I mean, I just find those
he
fight
owns
scenes.
the Mission Impossible franchise now. And
We are just stuck with that.
Like whoever, if you're writing a screenplay right now for an action flick and you have to put in one of these guys, just take the fight scene out. Are we going to miss that? No. All you need is a gun and a quip. That's all you need. As we learned in Indiana Jones.
And a whip.
Gun and a quip.
With a whip.
And a whip. Whatever, you can make that movie. You do not need an actual punching scene. So I was just feeling a little uncomfortable at some points in this movie.
I mean, one of the things that I loved so much when I found out the day after we saw it, Carlos said to me, "Did you hear about the criticism from this, like, I don't know, men's rights or something about the movie?" And I was like, "No, I try to avoid it."
Totally guessed that was coming.
I know. I was like, "No, I try to avoid it. I'm not interested." Rotten Tomatoes had to change their policies about films reviews in order to sort of get in front of men's rights activists. And Carlos was like, "Well, this piece was like 10 reasons why this movie is like anti-men or whatever. I don't know, some kind of crap." And then, like, one of the main reasons that they felt the movie was anti-men is because it showed Samuel L. Jackson also doing dishes with Brie Larson in the shot.
Yeah, I don't think we need to comment.
I don't think we need to even address that.
But
at
I'm
all.
sorry. I feel for just a second that I need to, because I actually noticed it in the movie. And this is one of the reasons that I was like, oh, definitely women wrote this film. Because they're just showing a normal thing that absolutely men should take part in, which is the simple act of doing dishes if you've been a guest in someone's home. And they're normalizing it. They're helping advance the world. This is in 1995 that they are saying that this is a normal thing. I grew up with it being a normal thing. Yeah. Many of us, I'm sure, did grow up with it being
a dishwasher. But I suppose you could show a man loading the dish and unloading, more importantly.
My dad bakes for us.
Like all of these things were very normal for me.
I didn't even notice, honestly.
I noticed
I
just really specifically, and
I just thought it was a nice scene between the two of them.
I thought it was a nice scene, but I was like, in my head, I was like, thank you for this, because I knew
I read
it
differently. I read it as a sign of their friendship, because they were able to have that quiet moment away from everything.
I agree with that.
And I didn't think of it as anything that the MRA's got their little filthy fingers on. I was just like, this is really cute, and this is her way of saying, like, in a very private moment, we're friends, but also, like, I'm going to help you out if you need it.
Yeah.
Only if it's an emergency. Don't call me when, Thor's having hissy fit.
And that's the thing. Like, she's got the power in this particular relationship because she is, like, super advanced. She knows all these things. She can do all these things that he can't.
She still washes dishes. That's what I was
thinking. She still washes dishes.
Part of me wanted to go, you're better than this.
But that's
she's very humble in her superpower.
It's like, it's a beautiful show of humility and friendship and equity. And I just was so... I was like personally watching it. I was like, this is really nice. Then I found out afterwards that this is one of the reasons that these people said this is a movie that was anti-men. And I wouldn't normally spend time with it, but I just thought, wow, these people are so sad.
I would like to spend a bit of time, though, on some of the issues that bothered me. And I want you guys to help me out with this.
Yeah.
So did it at any point bother you, like, at the sort of clumsiness, like I said, when they were bopping around that facility, and they're able to just walk in and find those files of. See, you even know what I'm talking about.
I do.
You did
I
a
do.
face.
I did a face.
You did a face.
Okay, well, it is an origin story, and they had to do something, and they had to get it in there somewhere, and Captain Marvel's origin is big.
Yes.
And I think just to have them, sneak into the thing. I mean, and it kind of sets up Fury, too, as starting up S.H.I.E.L.D., because he's going to have to do all this stuff later, and he's going to have to be sneaky and get into these places as needed.
It was just as bad to me as exposition scenes where, it's like, why are you flying in the sky? Oh, did you not see that I was electrocuted by I don't know. It just that whole lab thing was very clunky to me, and it's where I was almost falling off the film. I have to say that, and then things definitely. And I don't know. You're right to say, how would you get around that?
Yeah, you have to set it up somehow. I don't know how you get around that though, because
in a movie when you go, I can pee right now, and then that's not a good sign, because you should never be thinking you want to pee in the movie.
Yeah.
But that's where I was kind of like, I think I could pee here now, but maybe I won't.
Have you ever seen an origin story with a good scene that sort of set up everything? Or do you think there have been successful?
Well, we just watched the Spider-Verse. I didn't find that to be clunky. I didn't find that to be as knock on the head sort of, here is the exposition scene. That's all.
I thought with that movie, I felt like it did stuff that maybe it can do differently because it's animated. It can show us things in a slightly different way, because it's still, you're right though, it does it well. It does it really well. But maybe it's because of the animation. Maybe it was just to me it was just very awkward, and then things picked up, and I felt like almost as if we have to get to here and then we can go over here.
Yeah.
Once we've got something established, then we can start going over here.
They could have shortened it a little bit, I think, just for the whole point of getting in there and getting the files and then finding out the information. They could have cut about 5 minutes out of that and then added more onto the fight scene, which I would like to see more of.
Yes, agreed. Because when things really picked up, when it just all of a sudden it was fantastic as soon as they took off, and then landed oddly enough at her friend's farm, which I also thought was super interesting. You just take an airplane. There wasn't anyone going, wow, this is weird. There's an unidentified flying object landing in Alabama.
You have to just suspend disbelief with all those things.
I know.
Maybe they have a cloaking device. They can cloak whole planets and systems.
Thank you.
Maybe
the X-Men's Blackbird is in the comics is thin enough that it's not detectable by radar.
There we go.
Wow.
Wonder Woman's plane's invisible.
Yeah. So specific.
Yeah. So I'm sorry for all of this, but I had to get past these to really enjoy the movie, and I felt there were just clunky things in it, which I felt bad about, because on the whole I really liked the movie. I just felt it had a little bit of trouble getting going, almost like when you get up in the morning and you're feeling all cricky, and then all of a sudden by noon you're like, I am a machine.
Yeah.
That's how I felt.
No, I can see that. Do you feel like it was sort of suffering under the weight of its expectations of being the first female superhero movie?
I didn't feel any of that.
Wasn't Wonder Woman the first female superhero?
Well, but in the Marvel universe.
the Marvel universe. Possibly. It's hard to say. I'm so used to reading about Captain Marvel from the books, and Miss Marvel. Everything I know came from there, so I went in knowing it, and that's what I'm saying. They could have taken 5 minutes out of that lab scene. I don't know if it's hard to say if they were under the weight. Probably on some level, consciously or not. And they probably knew the MRAs were going to come for them at some point. So there probably was a lot of, we have to do this right, and we have to do it well, and we have to make sure that everything is there.
It's an interesting balance to watch, because you're always, as you said, the first female superhero. So there was this balance to, would she be feminine? Would she be masculine? Would they purposely try to go one direction to try and, compensate for something?
I'm just glad they kept away from the 80s outfits, because those things are,
And they didn't. And I felt like it all worked. I felt like it was just like a person. I felt like, her hair looked fantastic throughout the whole movie.
Her hair does look fantastic.
Oh, yeah,
it was just
great hair.
I kind of think she was using a bit of an iron.
Definitely a curling iron periodically.
Curling iron there, but
or maybe just her finger. She just lights it up and then.
But it wasn't like I said, too much. It didn't.
No, it never hits us
Whereas
over the head.
I'll admit, watching Wonder Woman, my jaw is kind of on the floor, because I've never quite seen someone as stunningly beautiful as Gal Gadot. That's a.
Yeah.
That's a tough.
Is it getting warm in here? Is it just me?
Well, and so the thing is, we do, unfortunately, are in this situation where we don't have to, but we can compare and contrast, what was successful about Wonder Woman versus Captain
No,
Marvel.
I feel bad doing that because
And that's the thing. I don't want to do that. But I
No.
will say one of the reasons that I loved Captain Marvel so much is that I only love the first half of Wonder Woman and hate the second half.
Oh.
I hate the love story, and I have grown to hate it more actually since watching it, because I love the first half of Wonder Woman. I think it's great.
Yep.
Yeah.
But they get into this thing where it's this love story, and they have to justify Chris Pine's existence and salary. They have
But I used to watch I've watched episodes of the old show. Steve's there.
Yeah.
Like it's
I
it's
know.
kind of hard to get around.
Yeah, but they don't need him.
No, they don't. I'm just saying that he's there.
and that's fine. But I just like you remember the whole ending of Wonder Woman, how like her whole thing of getting her power, like the full extent of her power, is when he tells her he loves her, and that's like the big climax of the film, instead of this just being her chance to just do her superhero thing. I know that.
But they're always, unfortunately, they're always in some sort of, our female superheroes are always in some kind of retaliation against a man. So it was Jude Law here that made her question her power.
I mean, the whole being, though.
Yeah, but I'm just saying I wish we had just a
but
way
they
of,
never, at least we never had to deal with them as like a romantic
No, we
foils
didn't.
for
We
each
didn't.
other.
But I
Like,
would, just...
I'm here for Maria and Carol. Though.
Carol,
Oh man, I am into that romance. If that ever happens,
You're just shipping hard
I
for
ship
that?
it so bad. Yeah,
Yeah.
I want that. I also read that as a real queer thing, so I was just like, yes, these two don't ask, don't tell era Air Force women raising a child in the South.
Raising a child in the South,
I
for
wonder.
sure.
Yeah, that is definitely queer, and I'm like, I'm into this. Where's the fan fiction? Give it to me now.
Yeah.
You should write the fan fiction.
I'm probably going to.
Okay, great.
I
Well,
have Sanders fan fiction. I will write this.
And I'll tell you, the chemistry, you're right, because that was high chemistry there. There was a real closeness that felt so real between them.
Yeah, and I love spending time with that relationship. Like
I
it
did
just,
too, yeah.
I would absolutely so much love to see the next film just be them and her daughter.
And her daughter trying to talk her out of it, because that's
my God,
what was
her
great.
daughter.
The mother's like, no, I have a kid. And the daughter's like, come on, Mom, you got to do this.
Set a good example for me, Mom.
Yeah,
Come
exactly.
On.
I love
Lieutenant
that.
Trouble
I love that.
is adorable.
And she wasn't like precocious kid that you hate, like
No.
Sometimes they give them those the quips and stuff, and you're just like, oh.
No,
But she
Lieutenant
wasn't-
Trouble is the best.
Yeah.
And I am here for Lieutenant Trouble, Goose, Lieutenant Trouble, Goose,
Is
Carol,
Goose a Top
and
Gun
Maria.
reference?
Yes,
Yeah.
It is.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
No, because they were of when, particularly when they
that was
were
like, so
doing their
Top Gun
like
was like
Air Force
80
thing.
Or
88. I thought it was 88.
No, I think it was like 84.
84,
It's
really?
definitely mid to. It's after I was born, but before I started school. I'm really aging myself here.
It's so specific. I
Yeah,
love
it's
it.
between 83 and 89. Like it's in there.
That's a
Yeah.
big window.
But anyways, yes, it's definitely a Top Gun reference
Yeah,
for
okay,
sure.
that's what I thought.
Yeah,
Yeah.
And, which is great. I
No, that's
enjoyed
very
that
funny.
because it was also all their outfits from that. Like, I mean, I guess they're fighter pilots, so that makes sense.
And that's the only part that made me go, I mean, I love Annette Bening.
yeah.
But imagine if they could have got Kelly McGillis to play
Oh my God.
Captain Marvel.
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 Yeah.
Marvel.
What if
Yeah.
they got? But
Yeah.
I don't think Kelly's working as much as she used to. So.
I don't think she's interested
I'm okay with
in
Annette
it.
Bening though. Like,
Oh no!
Annette
You want
Bening
to?
is
You
so
want to?
great.
Not even saying it out loud. But you know what I was just saying.
you
want
to see a homosexual having a panic attack? Annette Bening in that outfit. My wife was like, "Baby, all right?" I'm like, I'm fine.
Oh no, she looked. I mean, I wish we just would keep doing like the way they had. Tell me who played Wonder Woman's mom. I'm blanking on her name now.
Oh,
You know.
yeah.
Yeah, no,
House
I
of
know.
Cards.
It was
Robin Wright.
Robin
Wright.
Wright.
Yes.
I want these actresses who society has said you're too old, we're putting you out to pasture. I want them to keep being cast in these movies that are, oh really?
Yeah.
I'll tell you who's got the this lady
This is-
right here, and that's what we need more of. And I've seen the scenes from the new Terminator where Sarah Connor,
I'm excited.
is like I got a gray head of hair and is ready.
Oh yeah,
For
she is.
action.
She is into it, and I'm
Yeah.
just like, mark on the calendar. We're going.
I know exactly. And
Going
I'm
in
just
3D, we're doing
yes, because if we're gonna have to keep watching Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone carry their sorry butts out for these,
Yeah.
and they look terrible, and it doesn't work. And
No,
so
it's
let's-
awful.
Let's just get some. Let's figure this out, and we can do better movies.
Oh, 100%.
Yeah.
I really like some of the thoughts that people have had. So One of the quotes from Helen O'Hara in Empire says, Carol Danvers' final batter offers a radical message. Okay, how many people cried in this? Like, oh my God.
There's a gift for it, and I found it on Twitter.
Yeah, offers a radical message and becomes a powerful metaphor for what could happen if we stop waiting to be told that we are enough. If we stop believing the people who tell us we're too emotional or too weak. Captain Marvel says that when we stop looking for approval, we can become literally godlike. And this is, she goes on to say, this is not another cheap girl power cliche. It's an explicitly feminist apotheosis. Some people will find it disorienting to watch. Captain Marvel offers zero concessions to ease anyone in or win them over to Carol Danvers' point of view. If that makes it hard for some viewers to relate to her, she'll deal. 100%. Oh my God. I love it so much.
That was a moment I wasn't expecting. So when it happened, when she just saw that montage in her head of all the times that she'd fallen and got back up.
You're getting emotional now.
I was, because I felt like there's, I'm sorry, dudes, if you've never felt this, but that's what it feels like being, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like it did. And I really just, oh boy, I bit my knuckle when there.
I mean, it's not subtle, and that's one of the. Like,
yes,
I love the fact that it's not subtle.
Yeah,
like I love. It feels like, and it doesn't. It's not necessarily about making it centering like any feelings of anybody who would be against it. It's about for every person in the theater who identifies with that othering.
Yeah, it identifies with those moments you had in your life. They weren't yours.
Yeah.
You were intruding on someone else's space.
Yeah.
And that's why you failed. And so that was just such a great.
Because it's a set of rules that an uneven playing field that was never meant for you, and you have to just keep trying and trying and trying and trying.
Can I also say that I had a tiny bit of a chuckle though when, like, she says, "I am Carol."
Me too.
That was
honestly,
that was a little too much.
I am Carol.
It's not the most dramatic of names.
I am Carol. I swear to God, unless like if she had said I am Karen, it would have even been even funnier.
It was just.
But
it's like the most suburban mom thing.
It is. It's Carol Brady.
It's like in a minivan, like going to PTA to like pick a fight with like her nemesis across the street with better lemon bars. Like, look, I'm Carol.
It's definitely one of those meme names. Like, I was at your wedding, Carol. It's like one of those.
It needed to maybe be I am Carol Danvers.
Yeah,
that's a little stronger. I am Carol. I will say it made me.
Yeah.
Okay. I felt like
I was right there with you.
I was just like that. It should have had way more weight to it, and way more gravitas. But it was still just like, you just missed that.
I don't know because I think we're just so used to hearing it when it's I am Thor, and you're like,
I am Groot.
I am Groot.
Yes,
not the same, but still.
I am Carol.
And I mean, there is something beautiful about that, though, too. To just, like, for all of us to be able to be like, I am Andrea, I am Lisa, I am Sarah.
It would have been a great montage. Of all of us standing up in the theater just saying who we are.
Like all the Slayers on Buffy rising up.
Yes. Just like the activation moments. That is a second that snaps us out of it.
A little bit, yes.
I mean, unless your name is Carol, and then you're like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God.
I judged my parents for years naming me Carol, and now I have this.
What a dream. They're like extra specific to Sarah and your realm of study being like Riot Girl, like a 90s ethos has been very strong to your development as a human being.
Yeah.
There's the coding of the queer relationship here. Like, how much, and we know that you've loved the movie, but like, what does it mean to you on a really like, just like, monumental shift level for like seeing this piece of cinema?
I've never felt like I have seen a movie that was so custom made for me. Like I walked out of there and I was just like, I'm either gonna go cry for an hour or go fight somebody. Like it was,
you can do both.
I was like, I can do both. Let me have a beer first and think about it.
Yeah.
But no, it was amazing because I walked out of there and it was just like, this is for me. This is a movie that is besides Ocean's 8, which I love and I saw twice in 36 hours. Also for me, because who doesn't love a good heist with women in fancy clothes?
We agree
100%.
Completely,
but with this, it was Marvel. It was one of the first superheroes I remember reading about as a kid. It was everything I loved about the 90s put into 2 hours with one of my favorite actresses. I was like, there's nothing about this that's not going to sit well with me.
Yeah.
I will have criticisms, like we discussed, like a little time things. Like, my name is Carol. Like, that was, come on now. But overall, like, everything about it was like, this is for me. This is finally a movie, a superhero movie, where I can be like, I get it, I see it, this is for me, and no one's going to tell me otherwise.
And there was something really great. Like, if we had just been making movies like this all along, you wouldn't have to deal with these people, like you said, these trolls and stuff who have to watch it this way. Because the message of her empowerment of realizing that she was a woman, it wasn't like the whole film was about that. You know, she was just who she was.
Yeah.
There was a reference that the only way that they could fly was as women in the mid-90s was unless they went on this experimental mission, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's really the only time we sort of were drawn to the attention that she was a woman and, excuse me, might not be considered on equal terms as the men. But for the most part, the film wasn't really overly sending that home, I felt.
I mean, I felt like every time they told her you're too emotional, I took that very much as like the coding of you're a woman.
Yeah.
Like that, like
I kept hearing Star Wars in my head, and I believed that message from Yoda. You can't let fear guide you.
Okay,
So
no,
that's what
I was seeing it
thinking.
as
Okay.
you're a woman, you're too emotional.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You need to calm down and you need to chill out, and women are too emotional, and that's going to be a problem for you. As soon as she said or realized, like, once I get in touch with my emotions and once I am okay with this, that's where the power came from.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
when everything, when she pulled the thing in her
But-
neck and just went for it.
But she was also not angry anymore. It was sudden. She was filled with what she needed, like a righteousness.
That's the thing. Like she embraced her emotions and she embraced the anger.
But she didn't act out on anger. She acted, to me, that there was that moment of that.
Because I think when we feel anger, for the most part, it's actually because we're responding to something that's deeply unfair, some kind of oppression, some kind of like marginalization. And she's been hearing again and again and again, over and over and over, you're too emotional, you're too emotional, you're too emotional. And this is like a repeated pattern throughout her life. Because when we see her flip back on like, you know, you're not supposed to do that, you're not supposed to do this, and like this constant sort of like telling her of who she is. And then she is just like, oh, dang, I'm going to rip this control out of the back of my ear, and I'm going to be flooded with every emotion that I have been forced to keep at bay for so long. So yes, of course, no longer like anger rules her, but anger can be part of her like emotional spectrum, you know?
Yeah, well, but I just felt it was a very liberating scene on all fronts.
It's so exciting to like feel this, and that's.
Because you only feel anger a lot of times when you feel weak too, right?
Well,
like
and then when people are making you feel weak, like making you feel like you have this weakness. And so every time someone said to her, you're too emotional, I was thinking of every time someone has told me that I am too whatever. Like, I'm too loud, I'm too emotional, I'm too this, I'm too that. Because I have heard a lot of that over the years.
I have subscribed, however, to the belief what begins in anger ends in shame, because many times in my life I have done that. So I was watching that a little bit differently. I was really thinking about how the mistakes we made when we're angry. And so, and once you lose the anger and turn it into something where, like you said, I don't have to be angry because I know what my power is.
Yeah, but
and I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I think you're right, because in terms of the way it was written, that makes more sense. But for me in the theater, I wanted to be a Jedi Knight for so long that I've been working on my anger.
And I feel like, but I do feel like anger can be so useful. So I've been thinking about like, and I've spent a long time thinking about like different ways that we hone anger, who gets to be angry, who doesn't get to be angry. Like this is, we've all had a certain conversation in the last week or so about Jagged Little Pill.
Yes, we have.
Yeah. And just like.
But I just think that person's empirically wrong.
Well, I mean, that is just categorically incorrect on every level.
100%, yes.
Factually wrong.
Factually wrong.
Yes.
Yeah.
But also 1995. Anyway, so that's, you know, it just, I think all the time, particularly when I think of like, you know, people trying to introduce this notion of civility, because I think the word civil and civility is so much used as like a weapon against people of color, and queer people and gender nonconforming people, and sometimes against like angry, loud women. So I just always, that's always just like in the back of my mind. So watching this person step into like the full spectrum of their emotions and just be like, no, your words have no power over me anymore.
Yes.
Oh my God! Like just the hallelujah.
I felt
the
that too.
open.
I'm not trying to say that I didn't.
No,
I
no.
understood that. I just didn't. I was watching it thinking that in a weird way it made sense. When you let anger guide you, you make poor decisions.
I think if anger is your only thing, it can go
and suddenly
very poorly.
I felt like, oh, okay, now she's superhuman, so she doesn't have to even feel this garbage.
I think we could talk about Captain Marvel forever. However,
we're doing a second podcast. If you guys want to come over and do one with us, feel free.
No, I really did.
Part 2 crossover over at Warrior, Bards, and Brews.
I did like it a lot. I'm just going to say, if anyone's like me, keep going, because you'll find, to me, there's a bit, and then it takes off.
But you still think it pops?
Oh, yeah. No. It pops, definitely. And,
I mean, 2 viewings pops for me. Like,
that's...
They use just a girl in a fight scene.
Yeah.
I mean, I can't say anything other than this is the best thing I've seen, and yes, it pops.
Yeah. No, it big pops, lots of pops.
So many pops.
Pop.
So many pops. We love to leave our episodes also on something that we recommend as well as whatever we've talked about. So, Sarah, would you do us the honors of going first?
Yeah. My recommendation is for Dessa, her new album, Chime. It came out last year. Still worth a listen. She just recorded a live show with the Minneapolis Orchestra.
Wow.
She's a rapper, so this is going to be really cool.
Yeah.
And that should be out later this year. And within the last year, she put out the CD, her memoirs, and a whiskey.
Oh!
Yeah.
How very Drake of her.
I'm trying to find this whiskey in Canada. I have not seen it yet, so I want it because it's going to be really good.
That's great.
Although almost every celebrity now has a liquor, right?
I don't know.
There's a lot of that.
How do you spell Dessa?
Dessa.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure that people could find it.
Yep.
And where is Dessa from?
She's from Minneapolis. Cool. She did a song on the Hamilton mixtape, one of them.
Oh.
Nice.
Yeah.
Okay.
Nice. But
and she's
probably know her music because the Hamilton mixtape has lived in my house a lot.
Yeah. I've actually been banned from playing some of her songs in my house because I play them too much.
So that makes it a good song.
Very good.
Yes.
Lisa, how about you? What do you recommend?
So I started watching this new French Netflix rom-com. So Netflix has done a great job of going into different countries, and so this is like 8 half-hour episodes, I think, of a little rom-com. I watched them all in one day.
Nice.
It was a weird day. I really enjoyed it. I don't know, when I asked you to look it up, it said relatable. I don't feel I'm really related to the extremely beautiful people in this movie as much as I would like to. However, spending time with beautiful French people.
Sure.
I mean, I don't see how anyone's going to complain about that. But I don't want to here's my thing, because I already knew what it was about.
Okay.
And for some reason, the big twist in the show is told to you before you start watching it. So I think it's more fun to just start watching it. It was very, very sweet. And now I need to, because it ended right there with a sequel is necessary.
Oh, good.
So I really love it.
So we're going to look forward to a sequel.
I hope so. My
Great.
gosh, if they leave me hanging on this one, I'll get them.
It's called The Hookup Plan,
The Hookup
right?
Plan, yeah.
The Hookup Plan. Awesome. So I'm also going to recommend something from Netflix, very polar opposite to the nice thing that you just recommended. But I am obsessed. It's called Abducted in Plain Sight. Have either of you watched this?
I've heard of it.
No, I'm watching the
my God.
Peppers marathon right now.
All right.
I'll watch that next.
Oh my God. So you know that I love true crime.
Yes.
My grandma and I love true crime together. We have been watching a lot of true crime and regular crime for a long time. Neither of us has ever seen anything like this in our lives. Like, it's only 90 minutes. It's a documentary on Netflix, Abducted in Plain Sight. I will not spoil it for you. The tagline, though, tells you what you need to know to be intrigued, and I'm going to paraphrase, but he was a trusted family friend. So trusted, he abducted their daughter twice.
Twice?
Whoa.
It's wild. I have never, you know, when you sit through, like, you're like, oh, well, season 2 of Making a Murderer, you know what? That didn't need to be 8 or whatever episodes it was. Like, we could have done this in like a 90-minute doc or whatever. This documentary, the fact that it's only 90 minutes long is such an egregious, I mean, it is tight. It is a tight 90. But this thing should have been 5 years of like just 8 seasons. Like just 8 episode seasons for 5 years. And we would only be getting to the first kidnapping because it's wild. Like, I can't believe that.
Does it leave you with that really disturbed feeling after?
Yes, 100%.
Okay, so then watch the hookup plan after.
And then watch the hookup plan after, and then after that, listen to Dessa.
There you go. And maybe
what a
grab some
nice
other whiskey.
And have some whiskey.
And have some whiskey. Oh my God, Abducted in Plain Sight. Thank you so much, Sarah. Tell people thank you for talking about this with us.
And thank you for being such a great supporter of our podcast too.
Oh, you guys are my favorite.
Well, it's been we always see your face at our events, and
can't
and your
really miss
wife
the hair,
too, and
so.
it is so nice. And anyway, it's always appreciated.
Thank you so much. This has been a great time.
Thank you. And please tell us again your podcast, where people can find you.
We are Warriors, Bards, and Brews, a Xena podcast. We are at WBB_podcast on Twitter and Instagram. You can email us at wbbpodcast1@gmail, and I'm on Twitter. I forget what my handle is, though. I will send it to you for the show notes.
It'll be in the show notes. And I am a guest on your next episode of.
Wow.
Yeah.
What's the?
It's a Xena episode.
Oh, it is Xena. Okay.
It's a Xena episode.
Yeah.
I am not familiar deeply with Xena, but
Like my grandfather.
I didn't have.
We had
Deeply.
We had Andrea over to do an episode called Fins, Femmes, and Gems.
And it's amazing.
It is one of the, we're in the middle of an arc on our usual episode, so we always try to bring in a guest for something really funny and off the wall. And I was like, I think Finn's gonna be the one to do with Andrea. And Chloe was just like, oh yeah, she'll have fun with that one.
It was a delight.
Oh,
and I'm
fantastic.
a little obsessed with Xena now. You can hang out with us on Twitter, on Facebook, on Instagram. You could rate and review us 5 stars.
5 stars.
5 stars
It's our
on
subliminal advertising.
iTunes.
Is it working?
You could listen on
so.
Stitcher. Actually, I haven't checked. I should check. You can listen on Stitcher as well. You can also stream us on Spotify.
And you want to know who else is 5 stars? Andrea Gin, our
Andrea
producer.
Gin, our producer. 5-star producer.
General. Is that what it goes up to? 5-star general, or is it 3-star?
We are, I think, the least military trio in the world,
Yeah,
right?
exactly. Yeah. Well, she's
got
our
nothing.
5-star general
5-star general.
and everything else. So thank you so much. And, thanks for being here. We recorded the Vancouver Public Library. Not a very military institution at all. But
fingers
we
crossed.
like it.
Captain Marvel, though.
Yeah.
I'm pro that institution.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. Thank
See
you.
ya.